Alright, in this presentation we're going to be discussing three concepts and ideas from Chapter 3, which has to do with socio-emotional development. The first concept is the idea of identity development. But who came up with this theory? The person that developed it was a Canadian researcher by the name of James Marcia, and he intended to expand on Erik Erikson's previous ideas of development. But what does this mean? What this means is that as a person grows, they experience various crises which help influence their path in life, and we're going to discuss these in the next slide. There are four different types of identity. The first is identity diffusion, where a person has experienced no crisis and as a result has no commitment. The second type is identity foreclosure, where a person has not yet experienced crisis but has a commitment. The third type is identity moratorium, where a person is currently experiencing crisis and is experimenting with various different social groups and potential career paths, and also has made some various vague commitments. The fourth and final type is identity achievement, where a person has already experienced crisis and as a result has made a commitment to their life path. But how can this be seen in a future classroom? Students that are apathetic tend to be experiencing identity diffusion as they have no crisis and as a result have no commitment to do the task. Students who are overly committed to a career path without any clear crisis or reason why are typically experiencing identity foreclosure. The third potential way is students who are not committed to a path but are trying out various options and are hanging with many different social groups are in an identity moratorium. And the fourth and final group have went through doubt and confusion but are certain about their identity and path. These can show off identity achievement. The second concept is the concept of self-esteem. But what is it and why does it matter? Self-esteem can pretty much be summarized as how you view yourself and your personal self-worth. And it is very important as if you have a good idea of who you are and you know your value, you're going to be more focused on your path in life and you're going to be bettering yourself as a person. But how can this be seen in both students and adults? It can be seen in both genders during adolescence as both experience a significant drop-off as they go through puberty and have hormonal changes. But girls tend to experience a much higher drop-off than boys, typically about double the rate boys experience. But in adults, self-esteem can be damaged by economic, job, relationship, and mental health status, as opposed to during adolescence how hormones and social standing can help shape your self-esteem. The fourth and final way can be seen is pretty much the more stable someone's situation is, the higher their self-esteem is and the more they value themselves. How can this be seen in a future classroom? Obviously, I was a person when I was in school, if I got a bad grade, I felt horrible about myself. I just thought, wow, I'm a failure pretty much. And in my future, if a kid is going through that, I want to try and help them see, hey, failure isn't final. You're still a good person. You are still valuable, even if you did have a minor setback. And students that come from a rougher home environment will probably have lower self-esteem for a variety of reasons. Either that they have an unstable home life with parents, maybe they come from a broken family, or even that they don't have access to basic cleaning products. So as a result, they might face bullying by students for just being unclean almost. And also, they're teenagers. They're going through changes. They don't know who they are. They're just trying to find their place in the world. And the fourth and most important reason for a teacher to know about self-esteem is because it can affect the student's motivation to learn. As if a kid doesn't know their own worth and they're trying to figure out their place in the world, they're not going to be motivated to learn. The third and final topic we're going to be discussing is peer status. And what peer status is pretty much the social hierarchy and social standing of a student in their school and how other students perceive that student. And why is it important to consider in the classroom? It's important for a variety of reasons that we will cover on the final slide. But what are the different types of peer status? They can be broken into four separate sections, and the first section is average children whose peers both view them in a equally negative and equally positive light. And what this means is that these students typically are on a neutral standing with their peers. The second type are neglected children, who are students that are not disliked by their peers but are also infrequently someone's best friend, so getting a little bit more positive here. The third type are rejected children, who are students who are actively disliked by their peers and also are infrequently someone's best friend. And the fourth and final type are controversial children who are students who are commonly someone's best friend but are also frequently disliked. So pretty much a neutral split along people like them and people dislike them. Why is this important? It's important for partner work as if you're making groups and if you put two students that despise each other in a group, the outcome is probably not going to be very good. Either they'll just fight or they just won't work together at all. The second reason why is bullying, and bullying is pretty self-explanatory as why it's bad, and this is important to consider in a room, especially if one student continuously gets picked on. It might be important to consider what their peer status might be in the school. And the third reason why is just to help create a positive environment for all. And if you manage to achieve a positive, welcoming environment for all students, no one's going to be afraid to ask a question. Because as a result, if every student wants to ask a question without the fear of being seen as stupid or being bullied by their classmates, overall, everyone's going to be learning better. And it's just going to be a better class for everyone. So yeah, that's the end. And here's my source right here. It comes from our lovely textbook.